It's a pleasure to be here. I thank the organizers for inviting me to kind of kick this off. I would like to share with you some of the biosafety, biosecurity, biomanufacturing initiatives that I'm leading at K-State and partnering with various entities for. What you're going to hear during the conference is a lot of perspectives on different aspects of physical biosafety containment as well as practices. And we're going to kick off with a research project, which is going to be really exciting. So just by way of introduction, I'm going to quickly talk about what we've got going on with biomanufacturing and our NSF engine project. And I'll tell you what that is very shortly if I can make the slides advance. Okay, so K-State is the recipient of what is called an NSF Engines Development Award. And you can see our title is Advancing Biosecurity, Biodefense, and Biomanufacturing Technologies in Kansas and Missouri, which is our region that we are serving. This is from the National Science Foundation, and it builds on our existing efforts here at K-State and in the region where as an academic institution, we have invested strongly in biosafety, biosecurity. The government has doubled down on our investment by building NBAF here, and you're going to hear from NBAF later, as well as numerous entities in the private sector, particularly in the Kansas City metro region, all of which have some stake in one of what I call the 3 Bs: biosecurity, biodefense, and biomanufacturing. The goals of our project are to increase use-inspired research in this field. That's just a fancy way of saying what we used to call applied research back when I was coming through graduate school and postdoc. We also want to increase the capacity for commercialization and manufacturing of the products that Dr. Miller and her colleagues at the Veterinary College, as well as at NBAF, are making by increasing the availability of venture capital, accelerators, incubators, and all the other tools that startups need to survive. And what we're hoping will come out of this work is that we're going to lay the foundation for a sustainable what we're calling a bio engine around the 3 Bs, as well as work with our partners at Manhattan Area Technical College and others to increase the workforce in the region to support all of these efforts. And we want to recruit populations that are historically underrepresented in the workforce in this highly technical field. And then finally, our last goal is to attract additional companies to invest in this region. So the region that we are focusing on is essentially northeastern Kansas with a little bite out of northwest Missouri, which is, basically the KC Metro, the eastern bounds of the KC Metro. And we've already attracted a number of public and private sector institutions of various sorts, higher education, workforce development, government entities, economic developers, as well as private industry. So the vision for our bioengine is to create an integrated bioscience ecosystem from central Kansas to northwest Missouri that will drive innovation in these essential fields of biosecurity and biodefense. And of course, the goal of that is to promote development and commercialization of new technologies, new drugs, new biologics, new other accompanying enabling technologies that can allow us to address potential threats to national security, that can address problems related to the food supply, and that can stimulate the economy overall in our region. So why biosecurity and biodefense? I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but these are my talking points that I use everywhere. I think it's pretty easy after COVID to say that biosecurity and biodefense are very important to our national security. But equally, as a land grant, K-Staters know that agriculture security and sustainability as well as resilience. Just look at the Ogallala, for example, are essential to our national security as well. So one of the things that we at K-State are aware of is that it's all tied together. I mean, the BRI is the perfect example epitomizing this. We do research on plants, animals, as well as diseases impacting humans. They all integrate. It's all biodefense and biosecurity. And we've got to have ways to monitor for emerging and re-emerging threats and have countermeasures available to deal with those threats. And I would make the argument to you that we are perhaps uniquely suited in this region with our collection of resources to drive innovation in all of these fields. So why do we need this effort? I mean, I'm spending a lot of my time on this effort as well as a lot of my partners are. Why don't we have it all already? Well, we are in the Midwest. We are not in Silicon Valley. We are not in Research Triangle Park. We are not in the greater Boston region. So we don't have all of the innovation capital. We don't have a plethora of R&D services in the region. We don't have startup support. We're kind of under the radar in terms of awareness nationally. And it's also not as readily accessible to us to get to markets for, say, new pharmaceutical products. And then there are always institutional hurdles, not just at K-State, but all sorts of institutions. So what we're trying to do with the bioengine is address all of those barriers, bring in capital so that we can bring in more talent, make those investments in tech transfer and in startup businesses, spin that technology out more quickly and more readily, increase the pace of use-inspired research and its output, create the support structure for R&D, create facilities. We don't have any incubator space for startups in Manhattan, for example. Topeka and Lawrence too, but we're behind. And then have a cooperative governance system that can bring all these pieces together. So that's kind of the big picture. Now I'm going to bring you down to the more micro level that's talking about what we're doing to address the workforce question at K-State, which is a newer venture for us. And that's our Biomanufacturing Training and Education Initiative, or BTEI. This is funded by a significant investment from the state of Kansas. We had our first $5 million last fiscal year, and it's a continuing investment on the part of the state. So this is a big vote of confidence in K-State that we can do this. So what we're hoping to do is create a suite of coursework and training opportunities, again, partnering with Manhattan Area Technical College to create that pipeline of talent, people that have a variety of trainings and can serve in the biomanufacturing industry at a variety of levels. And so we're combining hands-on training and skills as well as theory and practice to put this education in place. And then we're also partnering very closely with industry stakeholders so that we make sure that we are providing the kinds of training that they want to see in their employees. So as part of this BTEI initiative, we're renovating a 2,300 square foot facility in Seton Hall, which is part of the Department of Biological and Agricultural Engineering. And that is going to be outfitted with modern state-of-the-art biomanufacturing equipment, such as would be found in a biomanufacturing facility. And so we will support the complete range of training, what's called both upstream processing, which is growing the cells that are making the product that you want, and then downstream processing, which is purifying that product away from what remains of the cells after you harvest. And then, of course, to go with that, you've got to train in complementary analytical techniques so that the structure and functionality of your product can be verified. It's no good to make, you know, an antibody-based biologic drug if it's folded wrong and doesn't work. So we actually have started courses over a year ago, and the facility is supposed to be finished with renovations by December, and we'll be teaching in it by January, which is very exciting. It's actually very fast for the state of Kansas too. These are just some architectural and elevation drawings of what the facility is going to look like when it's done. So hopefully in, you know, another few months, I'll have, you know, pictures of the real thing instead of artist renderings. The four capstone courses that are being envisioned as part of a certificate program, that's our first curricular offering, are these that you can see here. I'm not going to read them to you. But the idea is that our first curricular offering will be a certificate that can be added to any bachelor's degree curriculum. Obviously, it's probably going to be most attractive to students in some of the engineering disciplines as well as some of the basic science disciplines. Subsequently, we will be adding a suite of other short courses for professionals that are seeking to upskill, as well as graduate level courses. MATC is handling more the entry level training, and they are going to have a equally awesome facility in their new building, and they will be setting up their coursework, you know, alongside of ours so that we are all on the same page and our trainings are coherent. And then the last topic that I want to talk about, just to make you aware of what's going on at K-State, is biologics development and manufacturing. So we don't just have a vision, and we're not just training students to work in facilities. We actually have our own production facility. And this is a kind of fuzzy slide, but it shows our vision for all of the kinds of biomanufacturing that are going to exist at some point in Manhattan, Kansas. So you are perhaps already familiar with the NBAF Biologics Development Module. And I believe that you're going to hear about that later today or tomorrow. So they have an established and in use biologics development module that Dr. Steve Whitty is directing. We are also planning an autogenous vaccine facility that will be freestanding. And currently, though, what we have is the biologics development manufacturing facility in the BRI. And this is being led by Dr. Jishu Shi, of course, working alongside BRI staff. And that will be developing a variety of initially animal vaccines and biologics. And then finally in Coles Hall, we have some bioprocessing services that Dr. Wong will be leading up. So we're going to have a full suite of this capacity on campus, and these are additional training opportunities, hands-on training opportunities for students. And why do we think this is important? Well, here's just some words about why the BRI BDM. It's a workforce training platform, as I said. It will let students get trained in skills, the combination of the didactic coursework as well as potential intensive hands-on in the BRI BDM, offers students the ability to walk into a biomanufacturing job. We also want to create partnerships between the private sector entities that may want to use our pilot scale facility in the BDM to test out a new product. And then finally, we want to create economic value out of all of this for K-State as well as for the industry.